My name is Ann Barnhardt, and I am apparently one of the very, very last people left in Western civilization who possesses any quantity of brains and balls simultaneously. I saw that Senator Lindsey Graham appeared on Face the Nation this morning and said the following when asked by Bob Schieffer if there was anything that could be done about Americans burning the Koran. Quote, "Yeah, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable. Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war. During World War II, you had limits on what you could say if it would inspire the enemy. Anytime we can push back here in America against actions like this that put our troops at risk, we ought to do it." Unquote. Lindsey Graham is a Republican, and if John McCain had been elected president in 2008, Lindsey Graham would be the Attorney General of the United States today. Remember this as I go forward. Let's take Graham's words sentence by sentence. First sentence, quote, "Yeah, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable." Unquote. Hold people accountable? For what? For exercising their constitutionally protected and divinely ordained right to freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of religion? Hey, jackass! Have you not read the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States? Here, let me read it for you. "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." So what Lindsey Graham wants to do is elevate the totalitarian political system masquerading as a religion called Islam to a status which supersedes and overrides the First Amendment to the Constitution and thus places it in a position of specially protected legal superiority wherein criticism of Islam or failure to show proper and sufficient deference and honor for Islamic texts is a crime. Hey, Lindsey, you jackass. You know what that's called? It's called Sharia. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm going to burn a Koran here in a moment. Lindsey, why don't you come and hold me accountable, player? Go ahead, have me arrested for exercising my First Amendment rights. Drag me before Congress and hold me to account. Do it. Nothing would make me happier. I would relish the opportunity to explain to you how exactly it is that we do things in the United States of America. If you want to pick a fight, sir, you go right ahead. But understand that if you pick a fight with me, the only way it ends is with you sobbing in the men's room. Next quote. "Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war." Unquote. Free speech is a great idea? It is a bedrock principle of Western civilization and the United States. Individuals are free, sovereign agents. Individuals are not property or drones of the state. The government doesn't tell the people what to think and say. The people tell the government what to think and say through the mechanisms of representative republic governance under the Constitution. But what I suspect this really has to do with is intellectual snobbery and elitism. Lindsey Graham, you look at Terry Jones and you see a redneck with a handlebar mustache who speaks with a southern drawl without the benefit of a fancy Ivy League education. And you determine that a man like him cannot be trusted with his own personal intellectual sovereignty under the First Amendment, and therefore you, in your superior intellectual state, have to rein him in. Listen, jackass, it doesn't work that way. The First Amendment applies to all American citizens equally. It does not operate on a sliding scale based upon how expensive an education one received, what one's income is, or whether or not one is invited to Tony soirees in Georgetown. But if that's the game you want to play, that's fine. If you want to go head-to-head with a person of intellectual parity, I'm your Huckleberry. Come after me. Debate me. I stand foursquare with Terry Jones and am proud to do so. Next sentence, quote, "During World War II, you had limits on what you could say if it would inspire the enemy." Unquote. Lindsey, you jackass. The only prohibitions on speech during World War II and all other wars pertain to speech which would give aid and comfort to the enemy, not speech which demoralized, discouraged, or degraded the enemy. Have you ever seen the World War II era posters depicting the Japanese as Japs and the Nazis as bloodthirsty animals? Have you never seen the Warner Brothers cartoons? Yes, that's right, Looney Tunes, produced during the war that ruthlessly mocked and degraded the Germans, Italians, and Japanese? The informal prohibition during the war was on speech that was defeatist or conciliatory towards the enemy, which is exactly what you are engaging in, you stupid, stupid jackass. Next sentence, quote, anytime we can push back here in the United States against actions like this that put our troops at risk, we ought to do it. Unquote. Push back? Since the free speech in question is by a loyal, law-abiding American citizen against the sworn enemy of the United States and its Constitution, which is Islam, and you, Senator Graham, are talking about pushing back using the force of the government of the United States, it sure sounds to me like you have decided that the United States government is allied with Islam against the people of the United States who do not show sufficient deference and respect for Islam. Senator Graham, you can take your dimitude and shove it up your ass. And don't you dare accuse patriotic Americans who are exercising their First Amendment rights of putting our troops at risk. The only thing that is putting our troops at risk are the suicidal, defeatist rules of engagement which prevent our brave soldiers from actually fighting and defeating the enemy. You hang our boys out on the lines of battle and then refuse to give them ammunition, refuse to allow them to engage the enemy without permission from a flipping attorney, and refuse to allow them to engage civilians while fighting a force that is 100% comprised of civilians. How dare you accuse us of putting our troops at risk? Final quote. So I look forward to working with Senator Kerry and Reid and others to condemn this, condemn violence all over the world based in the name of religion, unquote. I have just one question. What act of violence did Terry Jones or Ann Barnhardt perpetrate? Did we kill anyone? Did we assault anyone? Did we saw anyone's head off? What act of violence did we perpetrate? How is burning paper with ink on it an act of violence? How is this object made of paper equivalent to the life of a human being? Are you honestly arguing that tearing and burning a book is equivalent to killing and beheading a human person? What is the matter with you? Do you know why we Christians don't get too terribly upset about people who burn Bibles or create horrific sacrilegious images using Christian symbols? Because we understand that a Bible can be reprinted and that an image is just an image. The image of a crucifix submerged in a jar of urine makes us sad. And sad not because we believe that it's physically Jesus being drowned in urine. It makes us sad because of the implied hatefulness, misery, and despair of the artist who would do such a thing and the patrons who would applaud it. Christians don't want to kill Robert Mapplethorpe while he was still alive. We wanted to pray for him so that he would come to know God and be released from his obvious torment so that hopefully we could all be together in heaven someday. This is why we are burning the Quran, because it is the manifesto of an evil totalitarian political system, and it enslaves human beings in a culture of misery, hopelessness, perversion, despair, true violence, and unnatural death. And if you weren't such a monumental jackass, Senator Graham, and didn't spend all of your time kissing the ass of the very political system that would cut your throat in a heartbeat, maybe you would understand that. Now, the main event. Here is my Quran. It is printed in English and Arabic, so it's a completely legit official Quran. I have bookmarked several passages, and the passages I've bookmarked with bacon, because raw bacon makes the best Quranic bookmark. I'm just going to go through these in order from front to back and read them off, and then once I've read them off, I will tear the page out of the Quran, put it in my fire bowl, and ignite it here. First one, you might want to jot these down. Surah 2, verse 191. And fight the infidels wherever you find them, and expel them from the place they had turned you out from. Evil, evil, garbage. In it goes, and up in flames. Go back to hell where you came from. And I'll discard my bacon bookmark here. Next up, Surah 2, verse 193. Fight them till idolatry comes to an end and the law of Allah prevails. Evil. Pulling that out. Garbage. On fire. Burn, baby, burn. Next up, pull my bacon bookmark out. Oh, the smell is divine, by the way. All right, we are in Surah 4, verse 24. Also forbidden are married women unless they are captives of war. Such is the decree of Allah. What this is talking about is who a man can or cannot have sex with. So what this is doing is it is ratifying the rape of women captured in jihad. Let me read it again. This is Surah 4:24. Also forbidden are married women unless they are captives of war. Such is the decree of Allah. Well, Allah is an evil son of a bitch, so he can go to hell. Next up is also within 4:24. Then give those of these women you have enjoyed the agreed dower. It will not be sinful if you agree to something else by mutual consent after having settled the dowry. Allah is certainly all-knowing and all-wise. What this verse is doing is it's ratifying prostitution. If a man pays a woman a dower or a dowry, a certain quantity of money, he can have sex with her without obligation. And certainly Allah is all-knowing and all-wise because Allah is an evil son of a bitch. All right, next, on to Surah 4:34. This is talking to a man who one of his many wives will not have sex with him willingly. This is 4:34. As for women you feel are averse, talk to them persuasively. Then leave them alone in bed without molesting them. Then beat them and go to bed with them when they are willing. So this ratifies beating your wife if she won't have sex with you. Evil, evil, evil. We'll burn this because that has no place in a civilized society. Next up, let's go to this is Surah 5:33. The punishment for those who wage war against Allah and His Prophet, who is Muhammad, and perpetrate disorders in the land is to kill or crucify them and have a hand on one side and a foot on the other cut off. Evil. Burn, burn, burn. Okay, pull my bookmark out. Next up, we're in Surah 8. This is 8:12. And Allah said to the angels, I am with you, go and strengthen the faithful. I shall fill the hearts of infidels with terror, so smite them on their necks and every joint and incapacitate them. This is the call to beheading the infidels. This is where that all comes from. And it's evil, so we will burn that. Where you came from. And let's see, what do we have here next? We have Surah 9. Surah 9, verse 5. This is the big one. But when these months prohibited for fighting are over, slay the idolaters wherever you find them, and take them captive or besiege them, and lie in wait for them at every likely place. Next up, still in wonderful Surah 9, verse 29. Fight those people of the book who do not believe. By the way, Judeo-Christians, that's us, people of the book. Fight those people of the book who do not believe in Allah and the last day. Do not prohibit what Allah and His apostle have forbidden, nor accept divine law until all of them pay the jizya tax in submission. Evil. Not paying no frickin' tax. Burn, burn, burn. Next up, still in good old Surah 9, verse 80. Whether you plead forgiveness for them or not, Allah will not forgive them, even though you plead 70 times, for they disbelieved in Allah and His apostle, and Allah does not show transgressors the way. Evil. Next up, we're still in Surah 9, verse 123. O believers, murder the unbelievers around you, and let them find harshness in you. Really. Yeah, go to hell. There you go. Now we are in Surah 13, verse 42. Surely those who had gone before them did deceive, but Allah is all-deceiving, for He has knowledge of what each does. This is calling God a deceiver and a liar, which implies that really Allah's true identity is Satan. And I think we can all agree to that. Go back to hell, Allah, from whence you came. Next up, Surah 23, verse 1. The true believers will be successful who are humble in their service, who shun all frivolities, who strive for betterment, who guard their sex, except from their wives and women slaves of old. This ratifies concubinage. Evil. And we'll burn that. There we go. Next up, Surah 47, verse 4. So when you clash with the unbelievers, smite their necks until you overpower them, then hold them in bondage. Yeah, I'd like to see you try. There we go. Next up, Surah 52, verse 24. This goes to man-boy sex, which is highly prized in Islam. This is again 52:24. And young boys, like pearls within their shells, will go around. There's all kinds of verses about this. It's twisted. And I'll be writing an essay on homosexuality and homosexual pedophilia and heterosexual pedophilia within Islam very, very shortly, because it's a cultural norm. Next up is Surah 56, verse 17. Again, Boys of never-ending bloom will pass round to them cups and decanters. Never-ending bloom means never-ending pubescence. And that's what the Muslim man is taught to find sexually attractive, is prepubescent and pubescent boys. It's truly, truly disgusting. Most men, or most boys in Islamic culture do not escape their childhood without being anally and orally raped by men. And then they, in turn, perpetuate the cycle of sexual abuse. And most men in Islamic cultures are homosexuals / homosexual pedophiles. Now to Surah 65, divorce, 65:4. As for your women who have lost hope of menstruation, and in case you have doubt, the prescribed period of waiting for them is 3 months, as also for those who have not menstruated yet. What this is doing is ratifying sex with prepubescent girls. Let me read it again. As for your women who have lost hope of menstruation, that would be older women, and in case you have a doubt, the prescribed period of waiting for them is 3 months, as also for those who have not menstruated yet. So this is ratifying sex with girls who are, under 12, 13 years old, which is evil. There is no other word for that. It's evil. So we'll burn that. And then finally, last citation here is Surah 76, verse 19. And boys of everlasting youth will go about attending them. Looking at them, you would think that they were pearls dispersed. Again, young boys as sex objects. Disgusting. Filthy, evil, satanic, disgusting. The whole thing, front to back. I just picked out a few. Every single page has something like that. There's either ratification of rape, ratification of sex with boys, or violence, 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 kill, maim, behead, show no mercy, blah, blah, blah. This is evil. Evil, evil garbage. And it will be a cold day in hell before I bow down to this crap. I would encourage all of you out there watching who share my feelings to do something similar, because we have to make a stand right here and right now. We can't wait around 20 years. We can't wait a generation for our kids to fight this war for us. This war is on us right here and right now. Either we make our stand right here or it's over. Burn a Quran. Put it on YouTube. Show the world that we are not going to back down. Backing down is not what Christianity is about. There's a reason why the church on earth is called the church militant. Okay? You can come after me if you want, boys. You come after me. That's fine. I have no problem laying down my life for my fellow Americans, for my fellow human beings, and for the church. I have no problem with that. Come and get it. But I'm not going to lay down. That is not what Christ commands. There are times when we have to fight. We fight evil. We fight the evil in the world, and this crap is evil. My name is Ann Barnhardt. I'm at 9175 Cornbreast Circle, 80124 in Lone Tree, Colorado. Anybody who wants a piece of me is more than welcome to come and get it. That goes for Lindsey Graham, anyone in the government who thinks that this is a crime, or any Muslims who would like to come and get a piece of me. I've had enough of this crap. I'm not going to bow. I am not going to submit to Islam, ever. Ever.